Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast, where I give you practical Stoic advice for modern times. You can support the show by going to patreon.com/Simon Drew. I also do one-on-one mindset coaching, and you can book in your first free consultation by going to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching. On Facebook, you can join my group, the Practical Stoic Mastermind. But for now, enjoy this episode. Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast. Often when I read the words of the original Stoics, I find myself having what you might call aha moments. These are kind of like epiphanies, moments where I didn't understand something about myself before, and now I do. These are the moments that keep me coming back to these ancient works because I find it so remarkable that no matter how many times I read Seneca or Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus, I still keep on learning more. And I think the reason is because when we first start learning and growing, our minds are only able to take in so much. And so we take in what we can. But then when you've reached a new level, you can take in some more. And so the next time you read the same book, you'll learn a little bit more that you didn't see the first time through. I feel like once I've read Meditations 50 times, I will have highlighted every single word on every page because there's so much extra value that I find every time I reread it. And I learn something new about myself each time through. And so today I'd like to share a quote that gave me one of those aha moments early on in my Stoic journey. And it comes from Seneca. And to give you a little backstory to this quote, it comes right after Seneca was calling for his friend to find kinship among his slaves and to value them as friends and not slaves, an idea quite radical for the time. And so he said, quote, "Show me a man who isn't a slave. One is a slave to sex, another to money, another to ambition. All are slaves to hope or fear. I could show you a man who has been a consul who is a slave to his little old woman, a millionaire who is a slave of a little girl in domestic service. I could show you some highly aristocratic young men who are utter slaves to stage artists. And there's no state of slavery more disgraceful than one which is self-imposed." End quote. So when I first read this quote a few years ago, it completely blew my mind. To me, slavery existed only in the physical realm. And it was only something that involved one person asserting dominance and ownership over another person. But it never occurred to me that I could be a slave to my own desires. This was an epiphany moment for me, and it completely changed my perspective of the world and my own life. I began to ask myself, what are the things that I am a slave to? And believe me, if you've never asked this question before, then you're in for quite a ride. Because when you answer this question, honestly, you'll learn a lot about who you are and what your weaknesses are. I realized that there were habits in my life that I thought were just that, habits. But they weren't just habits. They owned and controlled me because I wasn't conscious enough to own and control my own mind. And this was a form of self-imposed slavery, the type that Seneca suggests is the most disgraceful type. And so today I simply wanted to introduce this idea to you, that most of us are slaves in our own minds. Some people are slaves to their ego. Others are slaves to their possessions. Some people are slaves to alcohol or drugs or pornography or food or all of the above. The point is this: we need to first realize that we are a slave to something before we can take back control and unshackle ourselves. And so I wanted to ask you the question, what are you a slave to? What are the habits in your life that are controlling you? Are you the master of your actions, or do you allow yourself to be tossed and turned in every direction by the random daily events of your life? The world encourages us to give in to our desires, to buy that new car, to go on the Facebook app at the dinner table when you're surrounded by loving friends, to post that picture on Instagram that will get you 200 likes. We are all enslaved in one way or another, and the first trick is to understand that we are slaves, and then to be mindful and intentional with our efforts to unchain the mind. Stoicism teaches us that freedom is one of the main goals of life, and this freedom that the Stoics talked about is not necessarily a physical freedom, but rather an inner freedom. Most people think that they have this inner freedom, but they don't. They'll say things like, "I really don't care what other people think," or "I don't follow the trends," but a closer look at their life would show a clear attachment to something that is pulling them in one direction or another. And so today I want to encourage you to move towards that inner freedom, the kind that will allow you to be the true master of your life. Unshackle yourself from the things in your life that are holding you back. Find the strength within and take responsibility for your own independence. And I know that as you do this, you'll find pure joy and lasting fulfillment. I'll talk to you next time, but until then, I hope that this episode has helped you on your rise to the good life. Ciao. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. I hope it's been valuable for you. And if you'd like to support the show, then you can go to patreon.com/Simon Drew. If you'd like to try mindset coaching with me, then you can book your first free consultation by going to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching. To join the community, just go to Facebook and search for the Practical Stoic Mastermind. The links to all of these places are included in the show notes, but for now, this is Simon Drew signing out.